Hello there, gentle soul. Tonight, we're going to explore something your body already knows how to do, but may have forgotten. The art of letting go, not as a thought, not as a decision, but as a feeling that begins in your shoulders, travels through your chest, and settles somewhere deep in your bones. Your body has been holding tension in places you might not even notice. Your jaw, clenching around words you never said. Your shoulders, carrying weights that aren't yours to bear. Your back, bracing against a world that sometimes feels too heavy. But here's something beautiful that science has shown us. Your body already knows how to release. It's not a skill you need to learn. It's a memory you need to awaken. So tonight, you don't need to try. You don't need to understand. You don't even need to stay awake. Just let your body remember. And if this gentle exploration helps you find your way to sleep, you might consider liking this video or subscribing to this channel. It helps other sleepy souls find their way here too. One tired traveler at a time. Now, let's begin with a simple truth about the body that holds. Your forehead holds the weight of your thoughts. The frontalis muscle, that thin sheet of tissue stretching across your brow, tenses every time you concentrate, every worry, every calculation, every moment of deep thinking leaves its mark there. Over time, these micro-contractions create furrows that map your mental journeys like rings on an ancient tree. Researchers at the University of California found that people who practice forehead relaxation techniques show measurably lower stress hormones within just 10 minutes. The simple act of smoothing the brow sends a cascade of calm through the entire nervous system. Imagine your forehead as a still lake at dawn. No ripples, no disturbance, just smooth, peaceful water reflecting the quiet sky above. Perhaps you might notice the space between your eyebrows right now. That small valley where tension so often gathers, and maybe, without any effort at all, you could let it soften, just a little. Just enough to remember what stillness feels like. And as the forehead releases, something curious happens. The thoughts themselves seem to slow, as if they too were waiting for permission to rest. The muscles around your eyes are always working. Even now, as you listen to these words, tiny muscles called the orbicularis oculi are engaged. They squint against brightness, narrow against strain, and guard you from a world that sometimes feels too sharp, too demanding, too bright. Scientists estimate that these muscles contract thousands of times each day, blinking, focusing, expressing emotion. They rarely rest, and when they finally do release, the relief spreads outward like ripples in calm water. Think of a flower closing its petals at dusk, not because it must, but because the day is done and rest is earned. Your eyes can close in just the same way, softly, naturally, without resistance. Perhaps you might notice a gentle heaviness in your eyelids now. That pleasant weight that comes when the day's vigilance begins to fade. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to stay alert. Here, in this moment, watching is no longer required, and the eyes that have seen so much today can finally, gratefully, rest. Your jaw is one of the strongest muscles in your body. The masseter muscle, which closes your jaw, can exert up to 200 pounds of force on your molars. It's designed for chewing, for speaking, for surviving, but for many of us, it has taken on another role entirely, holding back words we wanted to say, holding in frustrations we couldn't express, holding tension from conversations that ended too soon or continued too long. The jaw becomes a vault for unspoken things. A study published in the Journal of Oral Rehabilitation found that nearly 70% of adults clench their jaw without realizing it, often during sleep, when the conscious mind has stepped away but the emotional body still grips. Imagine your jaw as a door that has been locked for too long. And now, gently, the key turns. The lock releases. The door swings open, not to let anything in, but to let everything that was trapped finally breathe. Perhaps you might notice your jaw right now, the teeth that may be touching, the pressure that may be hiding there, and perhaps, with just a thought, you could let your lips part slightly. Let your jaw hang loose. Let the holding stop. The words you never said don't need a guardian anymore. Many people grind their teeth in their sleep. Bruxism, the medical term for teeth grinding, affects millions of people worldwide. It happens most often during the deeper stages of sleep, when the conscious mind has drifted away, but the body continues processing the day's accumulated tensions. Neurologists believe this grinding is the body's way of discharging stress that couldn't be released during waking hours. The jaw moves back and forth, working through emotions that were swallowed, suppressed, or simply too overwhelming to face directly. Picture the ocean at night, waves still moving even when the shore has gone quiet. The water doesn't stop just because the sun has set. It continues its ancient rhythm, working through energy, releasing force, finding equilibrium. Perhaps your jaw has been working too hard lately, grinding in the night, clenching during the day, carrying more than it was designed to hold. And perhaps tonight, with these words as gentle permission, it can finally let go. The tension your teeth have been holding doesn't need to stay. It can dissolve like salt in warm water, leaving only softness behind. Your tongue presses against the roof of your mouth when you're stressed. Most people don't notice this until they consciously check. But right now, if you turn your attention inward, you might find your tongue pushed firmly upward, pressing against your palate as if bracing for impact. This is an ancient response. When our ancestors faced danger, the tongue would flatten against the roof of the mouth to protect itself during a potential blow. Today, there are no predators chasing us, but the body still remembers. It still braces. It still prepares for threats that may never come. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic have noted that consciously relaxing the tongue can trigger a cascade of relaxation through the entire face and neck. It's like finding the keystone in an arch. Remove the pressure there, and everything else can settle. Imagine your tongue as a small creature that has been hiding, tense and vigilant, in the cave of your mouth. And now, finally, it realizes there's no danger. It can rest on the soft floor of your mouth. It can let go of the roof. It can simply be. Perhaps you might notice your tongue now. Where is it resting? Is it pressing upward? And maybe, without any struggle at all, you could let it drop. Let it soften. Let it float in the warm darkness of your mouth, like a leaf on still water. And suddenly, the whole face feels different. Your shoulders rise toward your ears when you're anxious. It's an unconscious gesture, This lifting of the shoulders, like a turtle pulling into its shell, or a child shrinking from a scolding. The trapezius muscles contract, drawing the shoulders up and in, trying to protect the vulnerable neck from an invisible blow. Evolutionary biologists believe this response dates back millions of years, to a time when bared necks meant danger. The shoulders rise to guard, to shield, to make the target smaller. But there is no predator here, no danger lurking in the shadows. Only these words, gentle as falling snow, and the quiet invitation to release. Picture two mountains that have been straining upward for centuries, reaching for a sky they can never touch. And then, one day, they simply decide to settle, to sink back into the earth, to remember that they were always meant to be grounded, not grasping. Perhaps you might notice your shoulders right now. Have they crept up toward your ears? Have they been guarding a neck that needs no protection tonight? And maybe, with just an exhale, you could let them drop. An inch, a centimeter, whatever feels possible. The protection your shoulders have been providing. It can rest now. The trapezius muscle connects your skull to your shoulders to your spine. It's a remarkable piece of architecture. This diamond-shaped muscle that spans the upper back. It originates at the base of your skull, spreads across both shoulders, and descends to the middle of your spine. It's one of the largest muscles in the body, and it holds more tension than almost any other. Anatomists sometimes call it the coat hanger of the body because everything else seems to hang from it. When the trapezius is tense, the entire upper body feels rigid. When it releases, the relief cascades downward like water finding its way to the sea. A study at Harvard Medical School found that targeted trapezius relaxation could reduce tension headaches by up to 40%. The muscle is so influential that its state determines the comfort of the entire upper body. Imagine a coat hanging on a hook, fabric draped downward by nothing but gravity. No effort, no holding, just the natural fall of weight toward the earth. Your shoulders can hang like that. Your upper back can drape like that. All it takes is permission. Perhaps you might notice the triangle of muscle between your neck and shoulders. That area where so much tension accumulates, where stress seems to take up residence and refuse to leave. And perhaps, tonight, you could invite it to soften, not through force, but through kindness. The trapezius has been working so hard, it deserves to rest. Shoulder tension can cause headaches. When the muscles of the upper back and neck remain contracted for extended periods, they begin to pull on the base of the skull. This tension travels upward, wrapping around the head like a too tight band, creating the dull, persistent ache that so many people know too well. Neurologists call these tension-type headaches, and they affect nearly half of all adults at some point in their lives. The pain doesn't come from the head itself, but from the muscles below, gripping and pulling, sending signals of distress upward. The good news is that the reverse is also true. When the shoulders release, the pull on the skull lessens. The band around the head loosens. The ache begins to fade. Not through medication, but through simple, conscious letting go. Picture a rope that has been pulled taut for days, fibers straining against the tension, and then, slowly, the pulling stops. The rope goes slack. The fibers settle. The strain dissolves into nothing. Perhaps you might notice any tension connecting your shoulders to your skull right now. that invisible cord that links the two, that transmits stress upward into the head. And perhaps, with each breath, you could imagine that cord loosening, softening, releasing its grip. The headaches that begin in the shoulders can end in the shoulders too. When you're cold, your shoulders hunch automatically. It's a reflex as old as humanity itself. The body draws inward, conserving heat, protecting the core from the chill. The shoulders rise, the arms pull close, and we become smaller, tighter, more compact. But the fascinating thing is that we hunch the same way when we're emotionally cold, when we feel withdrawn, guarded, or defensive, when we're trying to take up less space in a world that feels too vast or too harsh. The physical posture mirrors the emotional state. Psychologists have found that the relationship works in both directions. Just as feeling cold makes us hunch, deliberately unhunching can make us feel warmer, more open, more present. The body leads and the mind follows. Imagine stepping out of the cold and into a warm room. The heat wraps around you like a gentle embrace. Your shoulders drop, your arms relax, your body unfolds, no longer needing to protect itself from the chill. Perhaps you might notice if your shoulders have been hunching, not from cold, but from the emotional weather of your day. And perhaps, in this warm cocoon of words and darkness, you could let them open, let them spread. Let them remember what it feels like to have nothing to guard against. You are safe here. You are warm here. You can unfold. Letting your shoulders drop even a centimeter can change how you feel. It seems too simple to be true. Such a small movement. Such a tiny release. But the nervous system is remarkably sensitive to these subtle shifts. When the shoulders drop, even slightly, the brain receives a signal the threat has passed. The guarding can stop. Safety has arrived. This is the principle behind progressive muscle relaxation, a technique developed in the 1920s by physician Edmund Jacobson. He discovered that mental calm naturally follows physical relaxation. The body leads, and the mind has no choice but to follow. Research at Stanford University confirmed that micro-movements of release, sometimes called tension discharge, can significantly reduce cortisol levels within minutes. The body doesn't need dramatic gestures. It responds to whispers just as readily as shouts. Picture a single drop of water falling into a still pond. Such a small thing, yet the ripples spread outward, touching every edge, changing everything. Your shoulders dropping a single centimeter can be that drop. Perhaps you might try it now. Not a dramatic roll or stretch, but just a tiny release, a millimeter of letting go, a whisper of surrender. And then notice what happens. Notice how the ripples spread. Notice how much can change from so little. The smallest letting go can lead to the deepest peace. Your neck is the bridge between your mind and your body. Every signal that travels from brain to body passes through this narrow passage. Every instruction to move, every sensation of touch, every message of pain or pleasure, all of it flows through the neck like water through a canyon. The cervical spine contains 7 vertebrae, each one stacked carefully atop the next, creating a flexible column that allows you to turn your head, nod, look up at the stars or down at your feet. It's an engineering marvel, this bridge of bone and nerve and muscle. But when tension takes hold, the bridge becomes a wall, The muscles of the neck tighten, compressing the vertebrae, restricting the flow. Communication between mind and body becomes strained, like trying to speak through a closed door. Imagine an ancient bridge spanning a quiet river. For years, the gates have been partially closed, slowing the traffic, limiting the flow. And then, one day, the gates swing open. The river flows freely. The bridge becomes what it was always meant to be, a passage, not a barrier. Perhaps you might notice your neck right now, the muscles on either side of your spine, the tension that may have been building there without your awareness. And perhaps, with this breath, you could invite those muscles to soften, to let the bridge open, to let the communication flow. Your mind and body have so much to say to each other. The neck can let them speak. The 7 vertebrae of your cervical spine are remarkably flexible. They can rotate, tilt, bend, and extend, allowing the head an extraordinary range of motion. You can look up at the ceiling, down at your toes, over each shoulder, and in countless directions between. This flexibility is one of humanity's great gifts. But tension can lock these vertebrae in place, turning the bridge into a wall. The muscles surrounding the spine contract, pulling the bones together, reducing mobility, creating stiffness that spreads throughout the upper body. Osteopaths have found that gentle neck relaxation can restore flexibility that people thought was lost to age or injury. Often, the bones themselves are fine. It's the muscles that have forgotten how to let go. Picture a door that has been stuck for months. The hinges rusted, the frame swollen, and then someone comes with oil and patience, working the hinges, easing the frame, until one day the door swings freely again. Your neck can be like that door. The flexibility is still there, waiting to be rediscovered. Perhaps you might notice the mobility in your neck. How far can your head turn? How easily can it nod? And perhaps, without straining, you could invite a tiny bit more freedom, a subtle loosening, a gentle remembering of all the ways your neck knows how to move. The flexibility was never lost. It was just waiting. Neck tension is often related to feeling unsupported. The muscles of the neck work constantly to hold up the head, which weighs 10 to 12 pounds on average. When everything is aligned, this is an easy task. The bones stack neatly, and the muscles barely need to engage. But when we feel unsupported in life, emotionally or practically, the neck often compensates. The muscles work overtime, gripping and straining, trying to hold up a head that feels too heavy for one person to carry. Psychologists have noted this correlation between life circumstances and neck tension. Those going through difficult transitions, bearing too much responsibility, or lacking adequate support systems frequently report chronic neck pain. The body speaks what the mind cannot say. Imagine a child trying to carry a load too heavy for them, staggering under the weight, muscles straining, and then an adult appears, lifts part of the burden, and suddenly the child can walk easily again. Tonight, let these words be that helper. Perhaps you might acknowledge that your neck has been working hard, holding up not just a head, but perhaps a world of worries, responsibilities, and concerns. And perhaps, for this moment, you could let some of that weight go, not because the responsibilities have disappeared, but because right now, in this moment, you don't have to carry them. Your neck has done enough today. It can rest now. The throat holds unspoken words. Every sentence we swallow instead of speak. Every emotion we push down instead of express. Every truth we bite back in the name of peace or propriety. They don't disappear. They settle in the throat, creating tension, constriction, a feeling of something stuck that cannot quite be dislodged. Speech therapists and body workers often encounter this phenomenon. Clients come complaining of throat tightness with no physical cause. Upon exploration, the tightness is revealed to be emotional. Years of unexpressed feelings lodged in the narrow passage between heart and mouth. Neurobiologists have mapped the connection between the throat and the emotional centers of the brain. The same neural pathways that regulate speech also process emotion. When we suppress one, we often constrict the other. Imagine a river that has been dammed for years. The water builds up behind the wall, pressure increasing, longing for release. And then, one day, the dam develops a crack. The water begins to flow, slowly at first, then more freely, until the river remembers what it was always meant to do. Perhaps you might notice your throat right now. Any tightness there, any sensation of holding or blocking, and perhaps, with a gentle exhale, you could invite that space to open, not to speak, but simply to breathe, to let the throat remember that it doesn't have to guard anymore. The words you couldn't say have done their work. They can dissolve now. A gentle stretch of the neck can activate the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the body, wandering from the brainstem through the neck, past the heart, and into the digestive system. It's the main pathway of the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of us that calms, restores, and heals. When the neck is chronically tense, the vagus nerve can become compressed or restricted. Its signals weaken. The calming response becomes harder to access. We stay stuck in alertness, unable to shift into rest. But even a slight release in the neck can change this. Research at the University of Virginia showed that gentle neck movements and stretches could significantly increase vagal tone, the measure of how well the vagus nerve is functioning. Better vagal tone means easier access to calm. Imagine a garden hose that has been kinked, water barely trickling through, and then someone straightens the kink, and suddenly the water flows freely, nourishing everything it touches. Your vagus nerve is like that hose. Your neck relaxation is like straightening the kink. Perhaps you might allow your neck to soften now. Not a dramatic stretch, but a gentle easing, a subtle letting go of the muscles that have been gripping. And as you do, perhaps you'll notice something shifting, a quieting, a calming, the vagus nerve, finally free to do its work. The pathway to peace runs right through your neck. The chest is where many people feel anxiety first, before the racing thoughts, before the spiraling worries. There is often a sensation in the chest, a tightness, a weight, a feeling of something pressing down, making it hard to breathe, hard to think, hard to feel anything but the pressure. This is the body's early warning system, signaling distress before the conscious mind has fully registered the threat. The chest muscles contract, the ribs draw inward, and suddenly the space for breath becomes smaller. Cardiologists and psychologists have both studied this phenomenon. The heart and the emotional brain are intimately connected, sharing neural pathways, influencing each other constantly. What we feel emotionally, we often feel first in the chest. Picture a bird caught in a cage too small for its wings. It flutters against the bars, unable to spread, unable to fly, feeling the constraint in every feather. And then someone opens the door. The bird doesn't have to fly away, but it can. The possibility of expansion returns. Perhaps you might notice your chest right now. Is there any tightness there, any weight, any sense of the cage being too small? And perhaps, with this breath, you could imagine the bars dissolving, the space expanding, room returning for your heart to beat, for your lungs to fill, for your chest to remember what freedom feels like. The cage was never locked. You can open it any time you choose. Your intercostal muscles sit between every rib. There are 11 pairs of these small, powerful muscles, one set between each rib, working together to expand and contract your chest with every breath. When you inhale, they lift the ribs up and out. When you exhale, they guide the ribs back down. But when we're stressed or anxious, these muscles often tense and remain tense. The ribs can't expand fully. Breathing becomes shallow, confined to the upper chest, barely reaching the belly. And shallow breathing, in turn, signals danger to the brain, creating a cycle of tension that feeds itself. Respiratory therapists know that releasing the intercostal muscles is key to restoring full, deep breathing. When the spaces between the ribs soften, the entire breathing apparatus can work as it was designed to. Imagine an accordion that has been squeezed too tightly, the folds compressed, the sound strangled, and then the hands that hold it relax. The accordion expands. The music flows freely again. Your ribs can be like that accordion. Perhaps you might notice the spaces between your ribs now, those narrow channels where the intercostal muscles live. And perhaps, with each exhale, you could invite them to lengthen, to soften, to allow the ribs to float a little more freely with each breath. The breath wants to flow. The ribs just need permission to let it. The heart sits behind a cage of bone. The rib cage is designed to protect the heart, wrapping around it like armor, shielding it from the blows of an unpredictable world. It's a beautiful design, this fortress of bone, keeping safe the organ that keeps us alive. But sometimes the protection becomes excessive. The muscles around the rib cage squeeze so tight that the heart feels trapped, not protected. The armor becomes a prison. The shield becomes a weight. Cardiologists have observed that chronic chest tension can actually affect heart function, restricting blood flow, increasing blood pressure, making the heart work harder than it needs to. The protection itself becomes a burden. Imagine a knight who has worn his armor for so long he's forgotten he can take it off. The metal weighs on his shoulders, restricts his movement, makes every step a struggle. And then one day, he remembers the battle is over. The armor can come off. He can breathe again. Perhaps you might notice any armor around your own heart tonight. The muscles that guard, the tension that protects. And perhaps you could acknowledge that here. In this darkness, in this moment of rest, the armor is not needed. The guards can stand down. The heart can simply beat, unencumbered, unwatched, free. Your heart has been protected. Now it can be freed. Grief lives in the chest. That heavy feeling of loss, the weight that settles after someone we love, has gone. It's not just an emotion. It's a physical sensation, measurable and real. The muscles around the heart actually contract when we grieve, creating a literal heaviness that can persist for weeks, months, even years. Researchers at the University of Arizona have documented this phenomenon, using imaging to show how grief affects the chest muscles. The body mourns along with the mind, holding the loss in its tissues, remembering through tension what the heart cannot forget. But the body also knows how to release grief, through tears, through sighs, through the slow unwinding of muscles that have been clenching around sorrow. The grief doesn't disappear, but it can become lighter. It can transform from a weight into a tenderness. Imagine carrying a heavy stone in your chest, one you've been holding since someone you loved went away. And tonight, you don't have to drop the stone, but you can set it down for a moment. Rest your arms. Breathe without the weight. The stone will still be there when you wake, if you want it. But for now, you can rest. Perhaps you might acknowledge any grief living in your chest tonight. The losses you've absorbed, the sorrows you've held, and perhaps, with enormous gentleness, you could let the muscles around those sorrows soften. Not to forget, not to stop loving, but simply to give yourself a moment of relief. The grief will wait. The rest is now. A deep breath can begin to unlock the chest, but sometimes it takes many breaths, patient and gentle, before the muscles remember how to release. The chest doesn't open all at once, like a door flung wide. It opens slowly, like a flower blooming in time-lapse, petal by petal, layer by layer. Breath therapists speak of the armored chest, a pattern of chronic tension that can take months or years to fully soften. But every breath makes a difference. Every expansion reminds the muscles of their natural range. Every exhale invites a little more letting go. Studies at Yale have shown that consistent deep breathing practices can permanently increase chest flexibility. Even in those who have been tense for decades, the body retains its capacity for openness, no matter how long it has been closed. Picture ice slowly melting in spring. The frozen surface doesn't become water instantly. It softens gradually, drop by drop, until one day the whole lake is flowing again. Your chest can thaw like that. Your breath can be the warmth. Perhaps you might take a slightly deeper breath now, not straining, not forcing, but simply inviting a little more air into the space behind your ribs. And as you exhale, perhaps you could imagine the muscles there softening, one layer at a time, one breath at a time. Patient and kind. The chest has been locked for a long time. Tonight, it begins to remember the key. Your spine has 33 vertebrae stacked like careful stones. From the base of your skull to the tip of your tailbone, these bones create the central pillar of your body. They protect the spinal cord, support your weight, and allow the remarkable flexibility that lets you bend, twist, and reach. Each vertebra is separated from the next by a disc of cartilage, soft and cushioning, absorbing the shocks of daily life. Together, the bones and discs create a column that is both strong and supple, rigid enough to support and flexible enough to move. But tension in the muscles surrounding the spine can compress these structures, pushing the vertebrae together, squeezing the discs, creating stiffness and pain where there should be ease and flow. Imagine a tower of smooth stones, balanced carefully atop one another. When the stones are perfectly aligned, the tower is stable but light. When they're pushed together too tightly, the whole structure becomes rigid, unable to sway with the wind. Your spine is like that tower. Perhaps you might notice your spine right now, that central column running through the core of your body. And perhaps you could imagine space opening between each vertebra, a little breathing room, a little softening, letting the tower be balanced rather than braced. The spine was built to be both strong and soft. Tonight, it can remember both. The erector spinae muscles run along your entire spine. These long, powerful muscles extend from your sacrum at the base all the way to your skull at the top. They're working even now, as you listen to these words, holding you upright against gravity's constant, gentle pull. Without the erector spinae, you would simply fold. They're the reason you can sit, stand, walk, and move through the world with your spine aligned. They work continuously, tirelessly, from the moment you wake until the moment you lie down. But like all muscles that work without rest, the erector spinae can become fatigued, tight, and painful. When we finally lie down at the end of the day, they don't always know how to let go. They keep working, keep gripping, forgetting that the job is done. Imagine a night watchman who doesn't realize his shift has ended. He keeps patrolling, keeps watching, keeps alert, even as the sun rises and the danger has passed. Someone needs to tell him you can rest now. The work is done. Perhaps you might notice the muscles along your spine, those faithful workers who have held you upright all day. And perhaps you could send them a simple message: thank you. You can stop now. The day is over. Gravity is holding me. You don't have to anymore. The erector spinae have earned their rest. Tonight, they can finally take it. Lower back pain is one of the most common complaints worldwide. Medical statistics estimate that 80% of adults will experience significant lower back pain at some point in their lives. It's the leading cause of disability globally, affecting more people than any other physical condition. But here's something surprising in the majority of cases. There's no structural damage, no injury, no slipped disc or broken bone. The pain comes from muscle tension, pure and simple. The muscles of the lower back, contracted for too long, begin to ache, creating discomfort that can range from mild to debilitating. This means that for many people, lower back relief doesn't require surgery or medication. It requires relaxation, the simple, profound release of muscles that have forgotten how to let go. Picture a clenched fist held tight for hours. Eventually, the hand begins to ache, the fingers to cramp, the palm to burn, not because the hand is injured, but because it won't release. Your lower back can be like that fist, and like a fist, it can open. Perhaps you might bring your attention to your lower back now, that area just above your hips, just below your waist, where so much tension accumulates. And perhaps, with this breath, you could invite those muscles to soften, to let go of their grip, to remember that holding is no longer necessary. The lower back has been working hard. Tonight, it can finally ease. Your back is your body's support system. Every movement you make relies on the back in some way. Standing, sitting, walking, reaching, lifting. The back is involved in all of it, providing the foundation upon which everything else is built. But this role comes with a cost. When we feel unsupported in life, the back often responds by trying to compensate. The muscles grip tighter, work harder, attempting to provide the stability that seems to be missing elsewhere. Psychologists have noted this correlation between emotional support and back tension. Those who feel they're carrying too much responsibility, who lack adequate help or connection, frequently develop chronic back pain. The body expresses what words cannot. Imagine a single pillar trying to hold up an entire building. It can do it, but just barely, straining under the weight, wearing down with each passing day, and then additional pillars are added. The weight is distributed. The first pillar can finally relax. It was never meant to hold everything alone. Perhaps you might acknowledge that your back has been supporting a great deal, not just your physical weight, but perhaps emotional weight as well. The weight of responsibilities, of expectations, of being strong when you didn't feel strong. And perhaps, tonight, you could let some of that weight go. You don't have to support everything. Not tonight. Not right now. The phrase carrying the weight of the world is physically accurate. When we feel overwhelmed by responsibility, by worry, by the sheer volume of things demanding our attention, the back muscles respond as if we were actually carrying a physical load. They contract. They brace. They prepare for burden. The metaphor becomes reality. Biomechanics researchers have measured this phenomenon, documenting how emotional stress creates measurable changes in back muscle activation. The body doesn't distinguish between physical weight and emotional weight. It responds to both in the same way. This means that releasing back tension requires more than physical stretching. It requires emotional permission, the acknowledgement that you don't have to carry everything, that some weights can be set down, that the world will continue to turn even if you rest. Imagine a figure in an old myth, condemned to carry the sky upon his shoulders, and then one day, someone tells him, you can let it go. The sky will stay up on its own. It always has. Your holding isn't what keeps it there. Perhaps you might notice any weight you've been carrying lately. The responsibilities that feel too large, the worries that feel too heavy, and perhaps, for just this moment, you could set them down. Not forever. Not even for tomorrow, but for tonight, for now. The world doesn't need you to carry it while you sleep. It will wait until you're rested. And as you release the weight from your shoulders, your neck, your back, perhaps you might notice something happening, a lightness, a spaciousness, a sense that the body you've been living in has rooms you'd forgotten existed. The tension you've released doesn't disappear. It transforms into breath, into warmth, into the gentle heaviness that precedes deep sleep. And so we move forward, together, deeper into the landscape of letting go. In the 1920s, a physician named Edmund Jacobson made a remarkable discovery. He found that mental calm naturally follows physical relaxation. It seems obvious now, but at the time it was revolutionary. The mind and body, Jacobson realized, were not separate kingdoms. but intimate partners. What happened in one inevitably affected the other. Jacobson spent decades studying this relationship, measuring the electrical activity in muscles, tracking the subtle ways tension manifested in the body. His meticulous research laid the foundation for what we now call progressive muscle relaxation. Imagine a scientist in a quiet laboratory, surrounded by instruments, watching tiny needles trace the patterns of stress and calm. Year after year, discovery after discovery, building a bridge between the physical and the mental that would help millions find peace. Perhaps you might appreciate, as you listen to these words, that you're benefiting from nearly a century of research into relaxation. The techniques woven through this video aren't guesses or wishes. They're the fruit of patient scientific inquiry. And tonight, you get to be the beneficiary of all that work. Jacobson spent decades studying the relationship between muscles and mind. His research showed something remarkable. You cannot be anxious if your muscles are truly relaxed. The two states are physiologically incompatible. When the muscles release, the mind has no choice but to follow. This was a radical claim at the time. Most people believed that anxiety was purely mental, that you had to think your way out of it. Jacobson proved that the body offered another path entirely. His patients learned to scan their bodies for tension, to identify the places where stress had taken up residence, and then to systematically release those areas. The results were dramatic. Chronic anxiety diminished. Sleep improved. Life became easier. Picture a stubborn knot in a piece of rope. You can try to untangle it by pulling and twisting. But sometimes the easiest approach is simply to let the rope go slack. The knot loosens on its own. Your mind can unknot the same way. Perhaps you might trust this process tonight. The relaxation of your body isn't separate from the calming of your mind. They are the same journey, traveled from different directions. When the muscles soften, peace follows. He developed a technique called Progressive Muscle Relaxation. The method is elegantly simple. You move through the body systematically, tensing each muscle group for a few seconds, then releasing. Forehead, then eyes, then jaw, neck, then shoulders, then arms, on and on, until every part of the body has been deliberately tightened and then consciously let go. The progressive part of the name refers to this systematic journey through the body. Each area is addressed in turn, building relaxation layer upon layer, until the entire system has shifted into a state of deep calm. Millions of people around the world have used this technique to find relief from anxiety, insomnia, chronic pain, and stress. It requires no equipment, no special training, no expense, just the willingness to pay attention to your own body. Imagine walking through a house at night, turning off lights in each room. The living room goes dark, then the kitchen, then the hallway. By the time you reach the bedroom, the whole house is quiet and dim. Your body can be settled the same way, one muscle group at a time. Perhaps you might notice that this video is itself a kind of progressive relaxation, moving from the face to the shoulders to the back to the breath. Each fact a room to settle, each cluster a floor to darken. The journey through the body is also a journey towards sleep. The paradox at the heart of PMR is beautiful. To release tension, you first create tension. It seems counterintuitive, like trying to start a fire by throwing water on it. But the body has a remarkable property. after a muscle has been deliberately tensed. It relaxes more completely than it could have without the tensing. Physiologists call this post-isometric relaxation. When muscle fibers contract and then release, they reset to a baseline that is actually lower than where they started. The tension creates the conditions for deeper release. This is why simply telling yourself to relax often doesn't work. The muscles don't know what relaxation feels like because they've forgotten. They need to experience the contrast between tight and loose, between gripping and releasing. Picture a pendulum that has been pushed to one side. When you let it go, it swings past center to the other extreme. Tension is like pushing the pendulum. Release is like letting it swing through to the other side. Perhaps you might experiment with this right now. Gently tense your shoulders, just for a moment, lifting them toward your ears. Hold, and then release. Notice how they drop lower than they were before. The paradox in action. Sometimes you have to tighten before you can truly let go. Jacobson identified 14 major muscle groups for relaxation. 14 doorways into deeper calm. 14 opportunities to shift the body from alert to peaceful. The list reads like a map of the human form: hands, forearms, upper arms, face, yaw, neck, shoulders, back, chest, abdomen, hips, thighs, calves, feet. Each of these areas can hold tension independently. You might have a relaxed forehead and a clenched jaw, loose shoulders and tight hips. The body is not monolithic. It's a collection of regions, each with its own relationship to stress. Jacobson recommended working through all 14 groups daily, spending a few minutes on each, building a practice of systematic release that would eventually become second nature. Imagine 14 doors leading to 14 rooms, each one containing a piece of your peace. As you open each door and enter each room, you gather more calm, more quiet, more rest. By the time all 14 doors have been opened, you're surrounded by stillness. Perhaps you might consider your own body as a collection of these regions tonight. We've already visited the face, the shoulders, the neck, the chest, the back. More rooms await, more doors to open, more peace to gather. 14 muscle groups, 14 chances to let go. When you tense a muscle for 5 to 7 seconds, something interesting happens. The muscle fibers fatigue slightly. Not enough to cause pain or damage, but enough to change their state. The proteins that cause contraction use up a little of their energy. The tension becomes harder to maintain. This is by design. Jacobson discovered that this brief fatigue creates the ideal conditions for release. The muscle, having worked for those few seconds, is actually eager to let go. It wants to rest. All you have to do is give it permission. Neuroscientists have mapped the pathways involved. The signals from brain to muscle shift when the tension period ends. The contract command transforms into a release command, and the muscle fibers respond by lengthening, softening, spreading. Picture a spring that has been compressed for a moment. When you release the pressure, it doesn't just return to neutral. It actually expands past its resting length before settling. Your muscles have this same spring quality. Perhaps you might trust this timing as you relax tonight. 5 to 7 seconds of gentle tension. Not straining, not forcing, just enough to activate the muscle. And then a longer period of release, letting the spring expand. letting the fibers settle. The tension is brief. The relaxation is lasting. The release phase should last longer than the tension phase. 20 to 30 seconds of relaxation for every 5 to 7 seconds of tension. This ratio matters. It gives the muscle time to truly settle, to explore its new state of softness, to forget the habit of gripping. Many people rush through relaxation. They tense, they release, and immediately they move on, never giving the release phase enough time to work its magic. But the real transformation happens in those quiet seconds after the letting go. Researchers have found that the nervous system needs time to register the change. The muscle has relaxed, but the brain needs 20 to 30 seconds to fully receive this information, to update its map of the body, to shift from alert to peaceful. Imagine dipping a cloth into dye. If you pull it out immediately, the color barely takes. But if you leave it submerged for a while, the dye penetrates deeply, thoroughly, permanently. Your relaxation can penetrate the same way. If you give it time, perhaps you might linger in the release phases tonight. There's no rush, no deadline, no reason to hurry through the softening. Let each moment of release extend and deepen. Let the dye of peace saturate your fibers. The longer you rest in release, the deeper the calm becomes. This process works through two pathways: top-down from your brain telling muscles to relax, and bottom-up from relaxed muscles signaling safety to your brain. The communication flows in both directions, creating a feedback loop that amplifies the effect. When you consciously decide to relax your shoulders, that's top-down control. The prefrontal cortex sends a signal down the spinal cord and out to the muscle fibers, instructing them to release. This is the pathway of intention, of deliberate choice. But something else happens too. When the shoulders actually relax, the sensory nerves in those muscles send a message back up to the brain. All is well. The danger has passed. We can stand down. This is bottom-up signaling, the body informing the mind. Imagine a conversation between friends. One says, "It's safe now." The other responds, "Yes, I can feel that it is." The first says, "Let's rest then." The other agrees. Back and forth, each message reinforcing the last. Perhaps you might appreciate this dialogue happening within you right now. Your mind telling your body to soften, your body confirming that softness feels good, each message supporting the other, building toward deeper and deeper calm. Top down and bottom up, working together, carrying you toward sleep. Research shows that regular practice of tension release reduces cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone, the chemical messenger that tells your body to stay alert, to prepare for danger, to keep the defenses up. When cortisol is chronically elevated, sleep becomes difficult, healing slows, and the body remains in a state of low-grade emergency. But muscle relaxation directly lowers cortisol levels. Studies have measured this effect, tracking the hormone in saliva and blood before and after relaxation sessions. The drop is significant and consistent. What this means is that letting go of physical tension isn't just a pleasant sensation. It's a biochemical intervention, as powerful in its own way as any medication. You are literally changing your blood chemistry when you relax your muscles. Picture a thermostat being turned down. The house that was overheating begins to cool. The air becomes comfortable. The occupants can finally relax. Your cortisol is like that thermostat, and muscle relaxation is the hand that turns it down. Perhaps you might feel gratitude for this effect tonight. With each muscle that softens, your cortisol is likely dropping. With each area of tension that releases, your body is moving further from stress toward peace. The chemistry of calm is building within you. The more you practice, the faster relaxation comes. In the beginning, it might take 20 or 30 minutes to work through all the muscle groups and achieve deep calm. But with practice, the body learns. It remembers the route. It anticipates the destination. Eventually, you can release tension without the tensing step entirely. A simple thought, a gentle intention, and the muscles respond. The pathway has been traveled so many times that it becomes automatic. Neurologists call this motor learning. The neural pathways for relaxation strengthen with use, becoming faster and more efficient. What once required effort becomes effortless. Imagine learning to drive a car. At first, every action requires conscious thought. Check the mirror, signal, turn the wheel. But after enough practice, these actions flow together automatically. Your body knows what to do. Relaxation can become like that. Perhaps you might consider tonight as practice. One more journey along the pathway of letting go. One more strengthening of the neural roots to calm. Each time you relax, you make the next relaxation easier. The body is learning. The skill is building. Soon, sleep will come as naturally as breathing. Your autonomic nervous system has two main branches. The sympathetic, which activates you, and the parasympathetic, which calms you. These two systems work in constant balance, like two ends of a seesaw, tipping back and forth throughout the day. The sympathetic nervous system is often called fight or flight. It speeds up the heart, tenses the muscles, sharpens the senses. It's designed for emergencies, for moments when you need to act quickly to survive. The parasympathetic nervous system is sometimes called rest and digest. It slows the heart, relaxes the muscles, activates the digestive system. It's designed for recovery, for the quiet times between challenges. Imagine a seesaw on a playground. On one end sits alertness, readiness, action. On the other end sits rest, recovery, peace. Throughout the day, the seesaw tips one way and then the other. But for sleep, the seesaw needs to tip firmly toward rest. Perhaps you might feel that tipping happening now. With each fact, with each breath, with each moment of relaxation, the seesaw tilts. Alertness rises into the air. Rest descends toward the ground. The parasympathetic side is winning. Sleep is getting closer. The sympathetic nervous system is your body's alarm. Heart racing, muscles tightening, pupils dilating. These are the signs of sympathetic activation. The body preparing for action, for danger, for the fight that might be coming or the flight that might be needed. This system evolved to save our lives. When a predator appeared, the sympathetic nervous system flooded the body with adrenaline and cortisol, providing the energy and focus needed to survive. It was brilliant evolutionary engineering. But here's the problem. The sympathetic nervous system can't distinguish between a real threat and an imagined one. A work deadline activates it just like a hungry lion would. A difficult conversation triggers it just like a physical attack. Picture an alarm that goes off every time someone walks past your house. Not just when someone breaks in. After a while, you'd be exhausted, constantly on edge, unable to rest even when there's no real danger. Perhaps you might recognize this pattern in your own life. The alarm going off too often. The body staying tense when there's nothing to fight and nothing to flee from. Tonight, we're giving the alarm a rest. There's no danger here. The alarm can be silent. The body can stand down. But the alarm was designed for occasional emergencies. In our ancestors' lives, true threats were relatively rare. A dangerous animal, a rival tribe, a sudden storm. The sympathetic nervous system would activate, help them survive, and then settle back down, sometimes not triggering again for days or weeks. Modern life is different. Emails and notifications and deadlines and social pressures create a constant stream of low-level threats. The alarm never fully turns off. The body stays in a state of perpetual readiness, exhausted by vigilance. Researchers call this chronic stress, and it has become one of the defining health challenges of our time. Bodies that evolved for occasional emergencies are now running emergency protocols around the clock. Imagine a fire station where the alarm rings every few minutes, all day and all night. The firefighters would be exhausted. They'd never sleep, never recover, never have the energy they'd need for a real emergency. Your body can feel like that fire station. Perhaps you might acknowledge the toll this takes. The constant alertness, the never-ending vigilance. And perhaps tonight, you could give yourself a break. A few hours where the alarm stays silent. A brief respite from the endless emergencies. The world can wait until morning. Tonight, the station is closed. The parasympathetic nervous system is sometimes called rest and digest. It slows the heart, relaxes muscles, and tells every cell that it's safe to restore. When the parasympathetic system is dominant, the body shifts from survival mode to recovery mode. Digestion improves because blood flows back to the stomach and intestines. Sleep becomes possible because the brain receives signals that it's safe to let down its guard. Healing accelerates because energy is redirected from defense to repair. This is the state your body is designed to spend much of its time in. Rest and digest. Recover and restore. The parasympathetic state isn't weakness or laziness. It's essential maintenance, as important as any activity. Picture a city at night. The daytime bustle has faded. The streets are quiet, but underground, in the pipes and cables, essential work is happening. Water is being purified. Power is being restored. Repairs are being made. The quiet night is actually intensely productive. Perhaps you might reframe rest in this way tonight. You're not doing nothing when you relax. You're doing some of the most important work your body can do. The repairs that can only happen in stillness. The restoration that requires quiet. Rest and digest. The body knows exactly what to do. Muscle relaxation directly activates the parasympathetic response. It's like flipping a switch from alarm to peace. When the muscles soften, they send signals through the nervous system that change the entire physiological state. The heart slows, the breathing deepens, the vigilance fades. This is why physical relaxation is so powerful. It doesn't just feel good. It actually changes which branch of the nervous system is in control. You're not just resting your muscles, you're shifting your entire mode of being. Neurologists have mapped these pathways in detail. The sensory nerves in the muscles connect to the brainstem, where the balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic is regulated. Relaxed muscles tip the balance toward calm. Imagine a light switch on a wall. For hours, it's been flipped to on, flooding the room with harsh light. But with a gentle touch, you flip it to off. Suddenly, the room is dark and peaceful. Your muscle relaxation is that gentle touch. Perhaps you might feel the switch flipping as you continue to soften tonight. With each area of tension that releases, the parasympathetic system gains ground. The alarm fades. The peace grows. The switch is moving. Rest is taking over. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in your body. It wanders from your brainstem through your neck, past your heart, and into your gut. A highway of calm, connecting the most important organs of your body. Its name comes from the Latin word for wandering, and wander it does, touching nearly everything. The vagus nerve is the main pathway of the parasympathetic nervous system. When it's active, the heart slows, the breathing deepens, the digestion improves. It's the physical infrastructure of peace. What makes the vagus nerve remarkable is its bidirectionality. It doesn't just carry signals from brain to body, it carries signals from body to brain as well. Your organs are constantly talking to your brain through this wandering nerve. And the quality of that conversation shapes how you feel. Imagine a telephone line connecting a general to troops scattered across a wide territory. Through this line, the general sends orders, but the troops also send reports. The vagus nerve is like that telephone line, except the orders and reports are about calm and safety. Perhaps you might appreciate this nerve tonight. It's been with you all your life, quietly doing its work, helping you rest when rest was possible. Tonight, we're giving it the conditions it needs to do its job well. The wandering nerve knows the way to peace. Vagus comes from the Latin word for wandering. This nerve meanders through your body, touching almost every organ. It doesn't follow a straight path like many nerves do. Instead, it branches and loops, connecting the brain to the heart, to the lungs, to the stomach, to the intestines. This wandering path explains why the vagus nerve has such wide-ranging effects. Stimulating it can slow the heart, deepen breathing, improve digestion, reduce inflammation, and enhance mood, all through a single neural pathway. Ancient healers didn't know about the vagus nerve, but they knew about its effects. Practices like deep breathing, meditation, and gentle movement have been used for thousands of years to induce calm. Now we understand that these practices work by stimulating the wandering nerve. Picture a river that winds through a valley, touching every village along its path. The water brings life wherever it goes. The vagus nerve is like that river, bringing calm to every organ it touches. Perhaps you might imagine this nerve within you now, branching from your brain stem, passing through your neck, wrapping around your heart, descending into your belly, a wandering messenger of peace, delivering its gentle message to every corner of your body. Wherever the vagus nerve wanders, calm can follow. High vagal tone is associated with better emotional regulation. Vagal tone refers to how well your vagus nerve is functioning, how responsive it is to the signals that activate the parasympathetic system. People with high vagal tone can shift from stress to calm more easily. They recover from challenges more quickly. Researchers measure vagal tone by tracking a phenomenon called heart rate variability. When the vagus nerve is healthy and active, the heart doesn't beat at a perfectly steady rhythm. Instead, it speeds up slightly on the inhale and slows down on the exhale. This variability is actually a sign of health. High vagal tone can be developed. Regular relaxation practice, deep breathing, and gentle exercise all strengthen the vagus nerve, making it more responsive, more effective at inducing calm. Imagine a muscle that gets stronger with use. The more you exercise it, the more powerful it becomes. Your vagus nerve is like that muscle. Every time you practice relaxation, you're doing vagal exercise. Perhaps you might think of tonight as a workout for your vagus nerve. With each breath, with each moment of letting go, you're strengthening the pathway to peace, building your capacity for calm. The vagus nerve grows stronger with practice. Tonight is practice. You can stimulate your vagus nerve through relaxation, deep breathing, releasing muscle tension, even humming or singing. All of these activities activate the wandering nerve. They send signals through its branches that say, "It's safe. We can rest. The danger has passed." Of all these methods, muscle relaxation is one of the most direct. When the muscles of the neck and face soften, they physically release pressure on the vagus nerve. The nerve, no longer compressed, can function more freely. This is why a relaxed jaw often leads to a calmer heart. The connection seems distant, but the vagus nerve bridges the gap. Soften the jaw, free the nerve, calm the heart. The body is more connected than it appears. Picture pressing a garden hose against a rock. The water slows to a trickle. Now lift the hose off the rock. The water flows freely again. Your vagus nerve can be freed the same way. Perhaps you might focus on your neck and jaw for a moment. Those areas where the vagus nerve passes closest to the surface, and perhaps by softening there, you could feel a cascade of calm spreading through your whole body. Release the jaw, free the nerve, welcome the peace. When the vagus nerve is active, your heart rate slows. Each beat becomes longer, more peaceful. Like a clock that has found its natural rhythm, the frantic pounding of stress gives way to the steady pulse of rest. This is measurable. Researchers can track heart rate and see it change within seconds of vagal activation. The effect is immediate and physical, not just a feeling but a biological reality. A slower heart rate means the heart is working less hard. It's conserving energy, saving effort for when it's truly needed. The whole cardiovascular system shifts into a more efficient, more sustainable mode. Imagine a drummer who has been playing a frantic solo, sticks flying, sweat pouring, and then the music changes. The tempo slows. The drummer settles into a gentle, steady beat. The energy in the room transforms. Your heart is like that drummer. Perhaps you might notice your heartbeat right now. You don't need to count it or measure it. Just feel it, wherever you feel it most strongly. And perhaps you'll notice it beginning to slow, beginning to settle, beginning to find its resting rhythm. The heart knows how to calm. It just needs the right signals. Your body has a memory of relaxation, even if it's been years since you felt truly at ease. Your muscles remember how. The pathways are still there, dormant, but not dead. The knowledge of peace hasn't been erased. it's just been buried. This is profoundly hopeful. It means relaxation isn't something you have to build from scratch. It's something you have to rediscover. The body already knows the way. It just needs to be reminded. Neurologists speak of state-dependent memory. Certain memories are most accessible when you're in the state you were in when they were formed. Memories of peace are most accessible when you're beginning to feel peaceful. Imagine an old path through a forest, overgrown with weeds, but still there beneath the undergrowth. With a little clearing, a little walking, the path becomes visible again. Your pathway to relaxation is like that forest trail. Perhaps you might trust your body's memory tonight. It knows how to relax. It's done it before, countless times. Every night of peaceful sleep you've ever had is stored somewhere in your tissues. We're just finding the path back. The body remembers. The body knows. The body can guide you home. Muscle memory works for relaxation, just as it works for skills. When you learn to ride a bicycle, your muscles remember, even if your conscious mind forgets. Years later, you can climb on a bike and find that the skill is still there, encoded in your body. Relaxation works the same way. Every time you practice letting go, the pattern becomes more deeply inscribed in your neuromuscular system. The muscles learn. They remember. They can recall the state of softness without conscious effort. This is why regular relaxation practice is so valuable. You're not just feeling good in the moment. You're building a skill that becomes easier and more automatic over time. You're training your muscles to know the way to peace. Picture a pianist who has practiced a piece so many times that the hands move on their own. The conscious mind can wander while the fingers find the notes. Your body can learn relaxation with the same automaticity. Perhaps you might consider each relaxation session as practice. Not just a pleasant experience, but a training session for your muscles, building the memory, deepening the skill, making peace more accessible for all the nights to come. The more you practice, the more your body remembers. Fascia, the connective tissue throughout your body, holds patterns of tension. Yes, but also patterns of release that can be reawakened. This web of tissue wraps around every muscle, every organ, every bone, creating a continuous network from head to toe. Fascia is more than passive wrapping. It has its own nerve endings, its own ability to contract and relax. And fascia has memory. It can hold the shape of chronic tension for years, but it can also remember and return to states of ease. Body workers who specialize in fascial release speak of tissue memory. Emotions, traumas, and chronic postures all leave their marks in the fascia. But these marks can be softened. The patterns can be changed. The tissue can learn new ways of being. Imagine a piece of fabric that has been folded in the same way for years. Creases set deep into the fibers. But with patience and gentle stretching, the creases can soften. The fabric can remember that it was once smooth. Perhaps you might sense your fascia tonight, that web of tissue that connects everything to everything else. And perhaps, as you relax, you could feel it softening, old patterns releasing, new possibilities opening. The fascia holds tension, but it can also let it go. Some researchers believe emotions are stored in the body. Releasing physical tension may also release emotional weight you didn't know you were carrying. The tears that sometimes come during deep relaxation. The unexpected feelings that surface during massage. These may be emotions long held in the tissues finally finding their way out. This theory, sometimes called somatic memory, suggests that the body is not just a vehicle for emotions but a storage container as well. We don't just feel sadness in the chest. The chest may actually hold sadness, keeping it safe until we are ready to process it. Not everyone accepts this theory, but many bodyworkers and therapists have observed its effects. Clients releasing tight shoulders sometimes find tears flowing. People softening their bellies sometimes feel old fears rising. The body seems to have its own kind of memory. Imagine a jar filled with water that has been shaken, sediment swirling throughout. As the jar sits still, the sediment settles to the bottom. But if you gently stir the water, some of that sediment rises again. Your relaxation might stir some emotional sediment. Perhaps you might be gentle with yourself if feelings arise tonight. They're not problems to be solved. They're releases to be welcomed. The body letting go of what it no longer needs to hold. Physical release and emotional release may be the same thing. The wisdom of release is already within you. It's not something you need to learn from scratch. It's something you need to remember. Your body knows how to let go. It's done it every night of peaceful sleep you've ever had. The skill isn't missing. It's just been obscured. Everything we've explored in this cluster, the nervous system pathways, the muscle memory, the vagus nerve, all of it has been working within you your entire life. These aren't foreign concepts. They're descriptions of what's already happening inside you. The invitation tonight isn't to become something new. It's to return to something old, something your body has always known but may have temporarily forgotten. Imagine coming home after a long journey to find everything exactly as you left it. The familiar rooms, the comfortable chair, the sense of belonging that requires no effort. Your relaxation can feel like that homecoming. Perhaps you might trust your own wisdom tonight. The part of you that knows how to sleep. The part that knows how to release. The part that has been waiting patiently for you to remember what it already knows. The wisdom is within you. It always has been. And as you settle deeper into that knowing, perhaps you might notice the landscape around you changing. The facts we've explored becoming not just information but sensation. Not just knowledge but experience. We've traveled through the body that holds and the wisdom of release. Now we journey inward, toward the skin and muscle and bone, toward the breath that moves and the systems that restore. Your skin is your largest organ, a living boundary between you and the world, always sensing, always responding. It stretches across approximately 20 square feet of surface area, wrapping around bones and muscles and organs, defining where you end and everything else begins. The skin does far more than simply contain you. It breathes. It feels. It regulates temperature. It protects against infection. Every inch of it is alive with nerve endings, blood vessels, and specialized cells working together in remarkable harmony. And like every part of your body, the skin can hold tension. When we're stressed, the tiny muscles attached to hair follicles contract. The blood vessels near the surface constrict. The skin itself becomes tighter, less supple, less alive. Imagine a drum skin pulled too tight, unable to resonate, unable to sing. And then the tension eases, and suddenly the drum can vibrate freely, producing rich, full tones. Your skin can relax like that too. Perhaps you might notice your skin right now, the sensation of it against your clothes or sheets, the places where it feels tight and the places where it feels soft, and perhaps you could invite all of it to release, to breathe, to remember what it feels like to be supple and alive. The skin that separates you from the world can also connect you to peace. The skin contains millions of nerve endings, each one capable of detecting touch, temperature, pressure, and also tension. These nerve endings are constantly sending information to your brain, creating a continuous map of sensation that tells you where you are in space. Some areas of the skin are extraordinarily sensitive. The fingertips, the lips, the face. These regions have such dense concentrations of nerve endings that they can detect variations too subtle for other parts to notice. But sensitivity works both ways. When the skin relaxes, those millions of nerve endings send a different message to the brain's safety. Comfort, permission to rest. The same nerves that can detect danger can also detect peace. Picture a field of tall grass in the wind, each blade swaying and sensing, translating the breeze into movement. Your nerve endings are like that grass, translating the world into sensation. And right now, the wind is gentle. The grass can sway softly. Perhaps you might appreciate the sensitivity of your skin tonight, the ability to feel the softness of what you're lying on, the warmth of the air around you. Each sensation a message of safety arriving through those millions of tiny sensors. The skin that feels so much can also feel peace. Goosebumps are your skin's ancient response to cold or fear. Tiny muscles at each hair follicle contract, pulling the hair upright, creating those familiar bumps across the surface. In our fur-covered ancestors, this made the coat fluff up, providing better insulation or making the animal appear larger to predators. We don't have enough hair for goosebumps to serve their original purpose anymore, but the response remains, a ghost of our evolutionary past, still activating when we're cold or frightened or deeply moved. What's interesting is that goosebumps can also occur in moments of profound emotion, when music stirs us, when beauty overwhelms us, when we feel deeply connected to something larger than ourselves. The same response to fear becomes a response to awe. Imagine a cat whose fur stands on end, not from fear this time, but from the pleasure of being stroked. The same mechanism, serving a completely different purpose. Your goosebumps can work that way too. Perhaps you might notice if there's any piloerection happening across your skin tonight. Those tiny muscles that have been active, keeping the hairs alert. And perhaps you could invite them to rest, to smooth, to let the surface of your body become calm as still water. The goosebumps can settle, the skin can smooth, the alertness can fade. When you relax deeply, your skin may tingle. Blood flow increases as tension releases, bringing warmth to the surface, creating that pleasant prickling sensation that often accompanies deep relaxation. It's the feeling of circulation returning to places that have been constricted. This tingling is a sign that something is changing. The blood vessels are dilating. The capillaries are opening. Warmth and oxygen are flowing to tissues that may have been subtly starved. Some people feel this tingling most strongly in their hands or feet. Others notice it across the face or scalp. The location varies, but the meaning is consistent. The body is letting go, and blood is flowing freely again. Picture a frozen lake in spring. Ice slowly melting. Water beginning to move beneath the surface. That first trickle of flow after months of stillness. Your circulation can feel like that spring thaw. Perhaps you might welcome any tingling sensations that arise as you relax tonight. They're not strange or concerning. They're signs of release. Evidence that tension is melting, that blood is flowing, that the body is remembering what it feels like to be truly at ease. The tingling is the body waking up to peace. Gentle touch activates your skin's relaxation receptors, the same ones that told you as an infant that you were safe, that you were held. These receptors, called C-tactile afferents, respond specifically to slow, gentle, stroking touch, and when they're activated, they send calming signals directly to the brain. This is why a gentle caress feels so different from a quick poke. The slow touch activates the relaxation system. The quick touch activates the alertness system. The skin can distinguish between them with remarkable precision. Researchers have found that C-tactile activation reduces cortisol, lowers blood pressure, and increases feelings of well-being. A simple touch, delivered in the right way, can change the entire state of the nervous system. Imagine being held as a baby, every cell in your tiny body feeling safe because of the warmth surrounding you. Those same cells still exist, still remember, still respond to the message of gentle contact. Perhaps you might notice where your skin is touching something right now. The pillow beneath your head, the sheets against your body. And perhaps you could imagine that contact as a form of gentle holding, the fabric embracing you, the surface supporting you, the message of safety arriving through your skin. You are held. You are safe. The skin remembers. Your body contains more than 600 muscles, each one with its own capacity for tension and its own potential for release. 600 opportunities to hold stress, 600 chances to let it go. These muscles vary enormously in size and function. The gluteus maximus, the largest muscle in the body, powers your ability to walk and stand. The stapedius, the smallest, sits deep in the ear and protects against loud sounds. Between these extremes lies an astonishing variety. Skeletal muscles are the ones you can consciously control, the ones that move your bones, shape your expressions, allow you to navigate the world. There are over 400 of these, each one waiting for instructions from your brain. Imagine an orchestra with 600 instruments, each one capable of playing loud or soft, tense or relaxed. Tonight, we're conducting a symphony of release, each instrument lowering its volume, each section settling into quiet. Perhaps you might appreciate the sheer number of muscles that are available to relax right now. You don't have to address all 600 consciously. As one area softens, the others tend to follow. But knowing they're all there, all capable of release, can be strangely comforting. 600 muscles, 600 possibilities for peace. Skeletal muscles are the ones you can consciously control. The same control that can tense them can also soften them. This is the fundamental insight behind all voluntary relaxation. The muscles that you can tighten are also muscles you can release. It seems obvious when stated this way, but many people forget. They feel tension and think it's beyond their control, a fixed state rather than an active process. But if you can contract a muscle by choice, you can also let it go by choice. The mechanism is the same. Nerve signals travel from brain to muscle, either instructing contraction or ceasing to instruct it. When the tense signal stops, the muscle naturally returns to its resting length. Relaxation isn't something you have to actively create. It's what happens when you stop actively preventing it. Picture a hand making a fist. The fingers curl, the muscles contract, and then, simply by stopping the effort, the hand opens. The fingers straighten. No special technique required, just the cessation of holding. Perhaps you might apply this insight to your body right now. Wherever you find tension, you might ask, what if I simply stopped holding here, not forcing relaxation, but withdrawing the effort of tension, letting the muscle do what it naturally wants to do? Relaxation is not an action. It's the absence of action, the stopping of holding, the letting go. Smooth muscles work automatically in your organs, but they respond to relaxation too. When you calm your skeletal muscles, your organs often follow. The connection between voluntary and involuntary systems is more intimate than it might seem. Smooth muscles line your blood vessels, your digestive tract, your airways. They don't respond to conscious commands the way skeletal muscles do, but they do respond to the overall state of your nervous system. When the parasympathetic system is dominant, smooth muscles throughout the body tend to relax. This is why deep relaxation often improves digestion, reduces blood pressure, and eases breathing. The skeletal muscles you consciously release send signals that influence the smooth muscles you cannot directly control. Imagine ripples spreading across a pond from a single dropped stone. The stone touches only one point, but the waves eventually reach every shore. Your conscious relaxation is like that stone. The ripples spread everywhere. Perhaps you might trust this spreading effect tonight. As you soften the muscles you can feel, know that the muscles you can't feel are likely softening too. Your internal organs, your blood vessels, your deep tissues, all responding to the message of peace. The relaxation you choose spreads to places you can't even reach. Muscle spindles are sensors that detect tension. They tell your brain exactly how tight each muscle is, creating a constant conversation happening beneath awareness. These tiny receptors are embedded within the muscle fibers themselves, monitoring length and rate of change with exquisite precision. When a muscle stretches, the spindles fire, sending signals to the spinal cord and brain. This is part of the reflex system that helps you maintain posture and balance without thinking about it. But it also creates a feedback loop that can sustain tension. When spindles detect chronic tension, they can adjust their baseline, treating the tense state as normal. This is why we often don't realize how tense we've become. The sensors have adapted, and the brain stops receiving the warning signals. Picture a thermostat that has been set too high for so long that it no longer recognizes warmth as unusual. To reset it, you have to consciously create contrast. To reset your muscle spindles, you have to consciously create relaxation. Perhaps you might think of tonight as a recalibration. Each moment of release teaching your muscle spindles a new baseline, a softer normal, a more peaceful default. The sensors are learning. The baseline is shifting. Relaxation is becoming the new normal. When muscle spindles sense sustained relaxation, they reset. The muscle learns a new baseline, a new normal that is softer than before. This is the neurological basis for the lasting benefits of relaxation practice. You're not just feeling better in the moment, you're teaching your body a new way of being. This resetting takes time. The spindles don't change their calibration instantly, but with consistent practice, with repeated experiences of deep relaxation, the sensors gradually adjust. What once felt impossibly soft begins to feel natural. Researchers have documented this phenomenon in studies of meditation and progressive relaxation practitioners. Their baseline muscle tension, measured at rest, is consistently lower than that of non-practitioners. Their spindles have learned a softer setting. Imagine a guitar string that has been tuned too tight for years. Slowly, carefully, you loosen it to the correct pitch. At first, it feels strange, maybe even wrong, but eventually, the right tension becomes normal. Your muscles can be retuned the same way. Perhaps you might appreciate that what you're doing tonight has effects beyond this single evening. Each moment of release is a lesson for your muscle spindles, a small adjustment in the direction of peace, a step toward a new, softer baseline. The body is learning. The calibration is changing. This softness can become your new normal. Your skeleton is the framework that supports everything. 206 bones creating a structure for muscles to move and organs to rest within. From the tiny stirrup in your ear to the massive femur in your thigh. These bones give shape to your body and stability to your movements. Bones are not the rigid, static structures they might seem. They're living tissue, constantly remodeling themselves in response to the forces placed upon them. Astronauts who spend time in zero gravity actually lose bone density because their skeletons no longer need to support against Earth's pull. When muscles chronically tense, they can pull on the bones in ways that create discomfort and misalignment. But when muscles release, the skeleton can return to its natural arrangement, each bone settling into its proper place. Imagine a tent with poles that have been pushed askew by tight guy wires. When the wires are loosened, the poles can straighten, and the whole structure finds its intended shape. Your skeleton is like those poles. Perhaps you might sense your bones tonight, the framework within you that holds everything together, and as the muscles around them soften, perhaps you might feel the bones settling, finding alignment, resting in their natural positions. The skeleton supports you even as you sleep. Let it carry you into rest. Bones are not as solid as they seem. They're living tissue, constantly remodeling, responding to the forces placed upon them. Inside the hard outer shell, bones are surprisingly porous, filled with marrow that produces blood cells and stores fat. This porosity makes bones both strong and light. If they were solid through and through, they would be too heavy to move. The hollow structure gives them the ability to withstand enormous forces while remaining manageable for the muscles to manipulate. Bones also communicate with the rest of the body through chemical signals. They release hormones that affect everything from blood sugar to brain function. The skeleton is not just scaffolding, it's an active participant in your body's chemistry. Picture a coral reef, seemingly solid but actually full of channels and chambers, teeming with life. Your bones are like that reef, hard on the surface, alive within. Perhaps you might appreciate the living nature of your skeleton tonight. These aren't dead struts holding you up. They're vital, responsive, alive, and they too can sense the relaxation spreading through your body, can respond to the message of peace. Even the bones are part of the letting go. In deep relaxation, many people report feeling their bones become heavy. It's the sensation of truly letting go. of surrendering weight to the earth. When the muscles finally stop their constant holding, the true mass of the skeleton becomes apparent. This heaviness is not unpleasant. It's the feeling of gravity being allowed to do its job without resistance. The muscles have been fighting gravity all day, holding you upright, keeping the bones in position. When they release, gravity takes over, and you sink. Some relaxation teachers describe this as letting the floor hold you. Instead of using muscle effort to keep yourself in position, you trust the surface beneath you to provide support. The body can finally rest on something other than its own tension. Imagine a heavy stone being set down after being carried for miles. The relief of no longer lifting, the settling into place, the weight finding its natural rest. Your bones can feel like that stone. Perhaps you might invite this heaviness now. Let your bones feel their true weight. Let gravity pull them gently downward. Let the surface beneath you accept that weight without any effort from your muscles. The bones can be heavy. The surface will hold them. You can let go completely. The phrase "bone tired" captures something real. When tension leaves the muscles, you finally feel the weight of your own frame. The exhaustion that has been masked by constant effort becomes apparent. The body acknowledges how hard it has been working. This is not a sign of something wrong. It's a sign of something right. The acknowledgement of fatigue is the first step toward rest. As long as tension masked the tiredness, true recovery was impossible. Now, with the muscles releasing, the need for sleep can finally be heard. Many people fear this tiredness, thinking it means they're getting worse. But the opposite is true. The tiredness was always there. It was just hidden. Now it can be addressed. Now rest can begin. Picture a runner who has been pushing through pain, refusing to acknowledge injury. When they finally stop, the pain floods in. But this is the beginning of healing, not a worsening. Your fatigue is like that pain. Its emergence is the start of recovery. Perhaps you might welcome any tiredness you feel tonight. Don't fight it. Don't worry about it. It's your body finally being honest about what it needs. And what it needs is exactly what you're giving it: rest. Bone tired is the first step toward bone rested. Let the tiredness be felt. Let the rest begin. Your bones are designed to carry you with minimal effort. When muscles stop gripping unnecessarily, the skeleton can do its job with ease. The bones stack naturally, one atop another, each supporting the weight above it, transferring force downward toward the ground. This is the principle of structural integrity. A well-aligned skeleton requires very little muscular effort to maintain. The bones hold themselves up, balanced like a tower of blocks, stable through geometry rather than force. But when we're stressed, we often abandon this natural alignment. We hunch, we twist, we grip. The muscles work harder and harder to maintain positions that the skeleton could hold for free. Imagine a stack of books balanced perfectly, each one centered on the one below. No effort required to keep them stable. But push one book off-center, and suddenly you need force to prevent collapse. Your body works the same way. Perhaps you might allow your skeleton to find its natural balance tonight. As the muscles release their unnecessary gripping, the bones can settle into alignment. The structure can support itself. The effort can cease. The bones know how to stack. Let them. Your diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle beneath your lungs. When it contracts, it pulls air in. When it releases, air flows out. This simple movement, repeated 10 to 20 times per minute, keeps you alive without any conscious effort. The diaphragm is the primary muscle of breathing. It separates the chest cavity from the abdominal cavity, forming a floor for the lungs and a roof for the organs below. When it flattens on the inhale, it creates a vacuum that draws air into the lungs. When it relaxes on the exhale, the air flows out. Most of the time, we're unaware of the diaphragm's constant work. But when we breathe deeply, we can feel it. That expansion in the belly on the inhale, that gentle contraction on the exhale, the rhythm that has been with us since birth. Imagine a jellyfish pulsing through the ocean, expanding and contracting with hypnotic regularity. Your diaphragm moves with similar grace, an unconscious dance that sustains your life. Perhaps you might bring attention to your diaphragm now. Feel it descend as you breathe in. Feel it rise as you breathe out. This faithful muscle that has never stopped working, not even for a moment. Since the day you were born, the diaphragm breathes you. Trust it to continue. Most people breathe shallowly, using only the top of their lungs. The diaphragm barely moves, keeping the breath in the chest. This shallow breathing is both a symptom and a cause of tension. When we're stressed, we breathe shallowly. And when we breathe shallowly, we become more stressed. The upper lobes of the lungs are associated with the fight or flight response. Rapid, shallow breathing signals danger to the brain, which in turn triggers more tension, which leads to even shallower breathing. The cycle perpetuates itself. But the lower lobes of the lungs are associated with calm. When we breathe deeply, filling the entire lung space, we signal safety to the nervous system. The diaphragm descends fully. The belly expands. The parasympathetic system activates. Picture a balloon being inflated only at the top, the bottom staying crinkled and empty. That's how many people breathe. But a balloon inflated fully, top and bottom, is rounder, more stable, more complete. Your breath can fill you that completely. Perhaps you might try a deeper breath now, not forced, not strained, but simply allowing the inhale to travel all the way down, pushing the belly outward, filling the lower lungs, and then a slow, complete exhale, letting everything empty. The whole lung can breathe. The whole lung can participate in peace. Belly breathing engages the diaphragm fully. The belly rises on the inhale, falls on the exhale, massaging the organs with each breath. This is the natural way of breathing, the way babies breathe, the way we all breathed before we learned to hold ourselves tight. Somewhere along the way, most of us lost this natural pattern. We learned to hold our bellies in, to restrict our breathing, to keep our diaphragms from moving freely. The breath migrated upward into the chest, becoming shorter and less effective. Relearning belly breathing can feel strange at first. The belly rising feels vulnerable, exposed. But with practice, it becomes natural again. The body remembers what the mind forgot. Imagine a wave rolling onto shore, the water rising up the sand, then slowly retreating. Your belly can move like that wave, rising with each inhale, falling with each exhale, steady and rhythmic and calm. Perhaps you might allow your belly to move freely tonight. No holding in, no restriction. Let it rise as the diaphragm descends. Let it fall as the diaphragm releases. Natural breathing. Restored. The belly breathes. Let it. The exhale is naturally calming. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, telling your body that you can rest. The inhale is associated with alertness, with taking in. The exhale is associated with release, with letting go. This is why sighing feels so good when you're stressed. That long, audible exhale is the body's way of shifting gears, of moving from sympathetic to parasympathetic, from action to rest. You can consciously use this to induce calm by extending the exhale, making it longer than the inhale. You send a powerful signal to your nervous system. The danger has passed. The alertness is no longer needed. Peace is available. Picture a balloon slowly deflating, the air hissing out, the rubber relaxing, the tension releasing. Each exhale is like letting air out of that balloon. Each exhale is a small letting go. Perhaps you might pay attention to your exhales for a few breaths, not forcing them, but simply allowing them to be complete, letting all the air flow out before the next inhale begins. Each exhale a message of peace sent to every cell. The exhale calms. Let each one carry you deeper. Lengthening your exhale deepens relaxation. Even a ratio of 4 counts in and 6 counts out can shift your entire nervous system. The mathematics of breath translate directly into the chemistry of calm. This isn't mysticism, it's physiology. Longer exhales stimulate the vagus nerve more than shorter ones. They increase heart rate variability, a measure of parasympathetic activity. They lower blood pressure and reduce cortisol. You don't need to follow a rigid formula. Simply letting the exhale be slightly longer than the inhale is enough. The body is remarkably responsive to even small shifts in breathing pattern. Imagine a swing in a playground, pushed gently forward and then allowed to swing back even further. The forward push is your inhale. The longer return is your exhale. Each cycle takes you deeper into the stillness at the bottom of the arc. Perhaps you might experiment with this now. Breathe in normally, and then let the exhale extend just a bit longer. Not forcing, not straining, just allowing. And notice what happens. Notice how the body responds. The longer exhale is a key that unlocks deeper peace. Inside your body, trillions of cells are working in harmony, each one responding to the messages your nervous system sends. When you relax, you're not just affecting your muscles and breath. You're communicating with every cell, telling each one that rest is available. A single human body contains approximately 37 trillion cells, 37 trillion tiny units of life, each one carrying out its specialized function, each one responding to the chemical and electrical signals flowing through you. When stress hormones flood the bloodstream, every cell receives the message, prepare for danger. But when relaxation hormones flow instead, the message changes, all is well. The danger has passed. Restoration can begin. Picture a kingdom receiving news from the capital. When the news is of war, every village prepares for battle. When the news is of peace, every village can return to its normal work of growing and building and healing. Your cells are like those villages. Perhaps you might consider the scale of what's happening as you relax tonight. Trillions of cells, all receiving the same message of peace. Trillions of tiny responses, all moving in the same direction. A whole kingdom settling into rest. Every cell is listening. Every cell can hear the message of peace. When you relax, blood flow redistributes. Less to the muscles prepared for action, more to the organs that heal and restore. The circulatory system shifts its priorities, redirecting resources to where they're needed most during rest. During stress, blood flows preferentially to the large skeletal muscles, the ones that would power fight or flight. The heart beats faster to deliver oxygen where it's needed for action. The blood vessels in the muscles dilate while those in the digestive system constrict. But during relaxation, this pattern reverses. Blood returns to the core. The digestive system receives its share. The organs of repair and maintenance finally get the resources they need. Imagine a city during a crisis. All roads leading toward the emergency. And then the crisis passes, and traffic can flow normally again, reaching all the neighborhoods that had been neglected. Your blood flow works the same way. Perhaps you might sense this redistribution happening now. The warmth moving inward, the core receiving its share, all the systems that have been waiting finally getting what they need. The blood knows where to go. Relaxation tells it that all destinations are open. Your gut has its own nervous system, sometimes called the second brain. It contains millions of neurons that respond to relaxation. The enteric nervous system, as scientists call it, can operate independently of the brain, managing the complex tasks of digestion without any conscious input. This gut brain is remarkably sophisticated. It contains more neurons than the spinal cord. It produces the same neurotransmitters as the brain, including serotonin, the feel-good chemical. In fact, more serotonin is produced in the gut than in the brain itself. The gut and brain communicate constantly through the vagus nerve. When the gut is happy, the brain tends to feel calm. When the brain is relaxed, the gut can do its work efficiently. They're partners in peace. Picture two friends who work better when both are relaxed. Each one's state affects the other. Your gut and brain have this kind of friendship. Perhaps you might send a message of peace to your gut tonight. The belly that may have been clenched, the digestive system that may have been neglected. They're receiving the signal of calm now. They can relax their vigilance and return to their essential work. The second brain is listening. It can hear that all is well. The heart has a rhythm that mirrors your state. Anxiety creates irregular patterns. Calm creates coherent, smooth rhythms. Researchers can look at a graph of heart rate variability and make educated guesses about the emotional state of the person who produced it. This heart rhythm is not just a consequence of emotion, it's also a cause. When the heart beats in a coherent pattern, it sends signals to the brain that promote calm and clear thinking. The heart talks to the brain just as the brain talks to the heart. Techniques like deep breathing and relaxation can entrain the heart into coherent patterns. The rhythm stabilizes. The beat-to-beat variations become smooth and regular, and the brain receives a constant stream of signals saying all is well. Imagine a drummer playing with a steady, even beat, creating a foundation of rhythm that supports everything built on top of it. When your heart finds that steady rhythm, your whole system can build on that foundation. Perhaps you might notice your heartbeat and, without trying to change it, simply observe. Is it racing or steady, irregular or smooth, and perhaps, with each breath of relaxation, you might feel it settling, finding its natural, peaceful tempo. The heart knows its resting rhythm. It's finding it now. Every system in your body benefits from relaxation. Digestion improves. Immunity strengthens. Healing accelerates. All when you let go. The body that evolved to survive in a dangerous world also evolved to restore itself when the danger passed. The immune system, suppressed during stress, revives during relaxation. White blood cells become more active. Inflammation decreases. The body's defenses, which had been redirected toward immediate survival, return to their long-term work of protecting against disease. Wound healing speeds up during relaxation. Studies have shown that people who relax regularly recover from injuries faster than those who remain stressed. The tissue that repairs itself does so most efficiently when the body is at peace. Imagine a factory that has been running emergency shifts, all resources devoted to a single urgent task. When the emergency ends, the factory can return to its regular production. Maintenance can happen. Improvements can be made. Your body is like that factory. Perhaps you might appreciate all the healing that will happen while you sleep tonight. Not just rest, but active restoration. Every system working at its best. Every process running smoothly. All because you chose to let go. Relaxation isn't inactivity. It's a different kind of activity. The activity of healing. The activity of restoration. The activity of becoming whole. And as you settle into this understanding, feeling the breath move through you, feeling the heart find its rhythm, feeling every system shift toward restoration, perhaps you might notice that the boundary between waking and sleeping is becoming less clear. We've journeyed through the body that holds, the wisdom of release, and the landscape within. Now we arrive at the final destination, the art of surrender. Surrender is not defeat. It's a conscious choice to stop fighting something that doesn't need to be fought. The word carries connotations of weakness, of giving up, of loss. But true surrender is actually a form of strength. The strength to recognize when resistance is unnecessary. We spend so much energy fighting things that aren't actually threats. Fighting sleep when sleep is what we need. Fighting relaxation when relaxation is what our bodies crave. Fighting the natural rhythms of rest and recovery. Surrender, in this context, means aligning with what your body already wants. It means stopping the war against your own needs. It means laying down the weapons of vigilance and allowing peace to arrive. Imagine a river fighting against its own current, trying to flow uphill, exhausting itself against the natural direction of water. And then one day, the river simply stops fighting. It flows where rivers flow, downhill, toward the sea, toward rest. Perhaps you might consider what you've been fighting tonight. The tiredness you've been resisting, the rest you've been postponing. And perhaps, in this moment, you could lay down those weapons. Stop the fight. Let the river flow where it naturally wants to go. Surrender isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's knowing when the fight is over. The art of surrender takes practice. We are taught from childhood to push through, to persevere, to never give up. These are valuable lessons for many areas of life, but they can become obstacles when applied to rest. You can't force yourself to sleep. You can't will yourself into relaxation. The harder you try, the further away it seems to get. The only path to deep rest is through letting go, through ceasing to try, through surrendering the effort. This is why sleep can feel so elusive to high achievers. The same drive that helps them succeed during the day works against them at night. They lie in bed, trying to achieve sleep, not realizing that sleep is the one thing that cannot be achieved. It can only be received. Picture a child trying to catch a butterfly by chasing it. The more they run, the further it flies. But if they sit still, if they become quiet and patient, the butterfly might land on their shoulder. Sleep is like that butterfly. Perhaps you might practice surrender now, not trying to sleep, but allowing sleep to find you. Not chasing relaxation, but creating the conditions where relaxation can arrive. Becoming still, becoming quiet, becoming available. The art of surrender is the art of receiving. Your body knows how to sleep. It's done it every night of your life. It doesn't need instructions or techniques or special methods. It just needs permission. It just needs you to step aside. Sleep is not a skill you lack. It's a capacity you've always had. Babies don't need to learn how to sleep. They simply do it, naturally and effortlessly, whenever the conditions are right. Somewhere along the way, many of us forgot this. We began to believe that sleep was difficult, that it required effort, that it could be withheld by our racing minds. But the mind that thinks it controls sleep is mistaken. Sleep comes from a deeper place, a place beyond thought. Imagine a door that has been stuck for so long you forgot it could open. And then one day, you stop pushing and simply turn the handle. The door swings wide. It was never locked. You were just pushing when you should have been turning. Perhaps you might remember that your body knows this door. It has opened it thousands of times before. Your only job tonight is to stop pushing, to trust the handle, to let the door swing open on its own. The body knows. Trust it. Sleep is a form of trust. Trust that the world will be okay without your vigilance. Trust that your problems will still be there tomorrow, waiting patiently for your rested attention. Trust that letting go, even for a few hours, is safe. This trust can be hard to find in a world that demands constant attention. There are always more things to worry about, more problems to solve, more dangers to anticipate. The mind wants to keep watch, to stay alert, to never fully let down its guard. But the mind needs rest to function well. The vigilance it refuses to release is actually making it less effective, not more. The guard who never sleeps eventually becomes useless, too exhausted to notice real threats when they arise. Imagine a sentry on a castle wall who has been watching for enemies for days without rest. At some point, exhaustion wins, and sleep takes them whether they consent or not. Better to sleep by choice, during the safe hours, than to collapse at a crucial moment. Perhaps you might consider what you're trusting tonight. You're trusting that sleep will come. You're trusting that rest is safe. You're trusting that the world will hold together while you're away. These may seem like small trusts, but they're the foundation of every good night's sleep. Trust is the bedrock of surrender. Build your rest upon it. The present moment is the only place where relaxation can happen. Not in memories of the past or worries about the future. Only here, only now, the mind that time travels cannot relax, because it's never in the place where relaxation exists. This is one of the great insights of mindfulness traditions around the world. The past is gone. The future hasn't arrived. Only the present moment is real, and only in the present moment can we find peace. The worries that keep us awake are almost always about things that aren't happening right now. Deadlines that are still days away. Conversations that haven't occurred yet. Problems that may never materialize. The mind treats these imagined futures as present threats, and the body responds with present tension. Picture a person sitting in a perfectly safe room, surrounded by comfort, but suffering because their mind is elsewhere. They're reliving an argument from yesterday or rehearsing a presentation for next week. Their body is here, but their attention is not, and so their body cannot rest. Perhaps you might bring your attention to this moment, right now, not the moment that just passed, not the moment coming next, just this one, this breath, this sensation, this word. Nothing else exists except what is happening right now. In the present moment, there is almost always peace. Find the present, and you find rest. Worry about sleep creates sleeplessness. The more you fear not sleeping, the less likely sleep becomes. This is one of the cruel paradoxes of insomnia. The solution to the problem is to stop caring about the problem. Sleep researchers call this sleep performance anxiety. The bedroom becomes a stage. Sleep becomes a test. And like any performance, the pressure to succeed creates tension that makes success less likely. The way out of this trap is counterintuitive. Stop trying to sleep. Lie there with no agenda other than rest. Tell yourself that even if sleep doesn't come, the rest is valuable. Remove the pressure. Let go of the outcome. Imagine a student so anxious about a test that they can't think straight. The answers they know seem to disappear under the pressure. But when the test is over, when the pressure lifts, the answers come flooding back. Your sleep can work the same way. Stop testing, and the answers appear. Perhaps you might release any pressure you feel about sleeping tonight. It doesn't matter if you sleep or not. What matters is that you're resting. What matters is that you're letting go. The sleep will come when it's ready, and worrying about it won't make it come any faster. Let go of the outcome. The process is enough. Your thoughts will slow on their own. You don't need to stop them or control them. Just let them be, and they'll settle like sediment in still water. The attempt to control thoughts often makes them multiply. This is another paradox of the mind. What we resist persists. The thought we try to push away comes back stronger. The worry we attempt to suppress resurfaces with renewed force. The mind interprets resistance as importance and gives more attention to the resisted thing. The alternative is simple awareness without resistance. Let the thoughts arise. Let them pass. Don't chase them and don't fight them. Treat them like clouds crossing the sky. Present, but not permanent. Interesting, but not requiring response. Picture a snow globe that has been shaken. The flakes swirl chaotically, obscuring everything. But set the globe down. Leave it alone, and the flakes begin to settle. One by one, they drift to the bottom. The water clears. Stillness returns. Perhaps you might imagine your mind as that snow globe. The shaking has stopped. The thoughts are still swirling, but they're beginning to settle. One by one, they're drifting down. You don't need to catch them or arrange them. Just let gravity do its work. The thoughts will settle. Give them time. The brain naturally cycles between waking and sleeping. It's designed to transition. to shift gears, to move from one state to another. This cycling is one of the most fundamental rhythms of life, as ancient as the alternation between day and night. Every 90 minutes or so, the brain goes through a complete sleep cycle, moving from light sleep to deep sleep to REM sleep and back again. These cycles are built into our neurology. They don't require conscious management. The transition from waking to sleeping is just another gear shift in this ongoing rhythm. The brain has made this transition thousands of times. It knows the way. It will make the shift when the conditions are right. Imagine gears in a machine, smoothly interlocking, turning in their appointed sequence. The machine doesn't struggle to change gears. It simply does it, following the pattern built into its design. Your brain is like that machine. Perhaps you might trust this built-in rhythm tonight. The transition is coming. The gears are beginning to shift. You can feel it in the heaviness of your eyelids, in the slowing of your thoughts, in the warmth spreading through your body. The brain knows how to change gears. It's changing them now. Your eyelids are designed to close. They're weighted naturally, pulled down by gravity, wanting to rest over your eyes. It takes effort to keep them open. Closing them is simply letting the effort end. The eyelids are remarkable structures, thin curtains of skin and muscle that protect the delicate eyes beneath. They blink thousands of times a day, spreading moisture, clearing debris, giving the visual system brief moments of rest. At night, they're meant to close for longer, to seal out light, to signal to the brain that visual processing can cease, to begin the cascade of changes that lead to sleep. Imagine theater curtains at the end of a show. The performance is over. The lights are dimming, and slowly, gracefully, the curtains close. The audience sighs with satisfaction. The show is complete. Your eyelids are those curtains. Perhaps you might notice the weight of your eyelids now, the gentle pull of gravity wanting to draw them down, the effort required to keep them open. And perhaps you could let that effort end. Let the curtains close. Let the show be over. The eyelids want to rest. Let them. Darkness signals safety to your ancient brain. For millions of years, darkness meant the predators couldn't find you. You could finally hide, finally rest, finally let down your guard. That association remains deep in your neurology. The pineal gland, a tiny structure in the center of your brain, responds to darkness by releasing melatonin, the sleep hormone. This chemical signal tells the body that night has arrived, that it's time to transition from activity to rest. Modern life, with its artificial lights and glowing screens, has confused this ancient system. The brain doesn't always know when night has fallen. But in true darkness, the signals are clear. The melatonin flows. The body remembers what to do. Imagine your ancestors, hundreds of thousands of years ago, settling into their sleeping places as darkness fell, the fire dying down, the sounds of the day fading, the stars appearing overhead. Their bodies knew, as yours knows, that darkness was the time for rest. Perhaps you might appreciate the darkness around you now, whether it's the darkness behind your eyelids or the darkness of the room. This is the signal your brain has been waiting for. This is the ancient cue that says it's safe now. You can sleep. Darkness is not emptiness. It's permission. Permission to rest. Silence has a texture. It's not the absence of sound, but the presence of stillness. in true silence, you can feel something. The quality of peace that has its own substance, its own weight. Complete silence is rare in the modern world. There's almost always some background noise, some hum of machinery or distant traffic, but even partial silence, even relative quiet, carries some of that peaceful quality. The brain, constantly processing sound, can finally rest when silence arrives. The auditory system, always scanning for threats, can stand down. The mental resources devoted to listening can be redirected to other purposes, or to no purpose at all. Picture a still pond at dawn, not a ripple disturbing its surface. The silence around that pond is almost visible, almost tangible. You can feel it pressing gently against your skin. The silence tonight can have that same quality. Perhaps you might notice whatever silence exists around you now, the spaces between sounds, the quiet underneath the noise, and perhaps you could let that silence seep into you, filling the spaces within just as it fills the space without. Silence has weight. Let it press you gently into rest. Your body temperature naturally drops as sleep approaches. It's a signal, a preparation, a physiological shift toward rest. The blood vessels near the skin dilate, releasing heat, cooling the core. This drop in temperature is one of the triggers for sleep. Researchers have found that the ideal sleeping temperature is surprisingly cool, around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit for most people. The body seems to sleep best when the environment supports its natural cooling process. This is why a warm bath before bed can improve sleep. The bath heats the body, but when you get out, the rapid cooling that follows accelerates the temperature drop that signals sleep. The body interprets this cooling as a cue to rest. Imagine the earth cooling as the sun sets, releasing the heat it absorbed during the day. The air becomes gentler. The ground becomes still. Everything settles into the cooler rhythms of night. Your body can mirror this planetary cooling. Perhaps you might notice your own temperature now. The warmth at your core, the cooling at your extremities, the gentle release of heat as your body prepares for sleep. You can feel it happening. This natural shift, this biological sunset. The body is cooling. Sleep is approaching. Warmth at your extremities signals relaxation. When your hands and feet feel warm, it means blood is flowing freely, that the stress response has released, that the body has shifted from alert to peaceful. During stress, blood withdraws from the extremities, concentrating in the core and large muscles where it might be needed for action. Cold hands and feet are signs of tension, of readiness, of a body preparing for fight or flight. But in relaxation, the blood returns. The small blood vessels in the hands and feet dilate. Warmth flows to the fingertips and toes. The body is announcing that the emergency is over. Picture a house where all the heat has been concentrated in one room during a storm, and then the storm passes, and the heat can flow freely again, warming every corner, every hallway, every distant bedroom. Your body is like that house. Perhaps you might notice your hands and feet now. Are they warm or cold? Is blood flowing freely? Or is it being held back? And perhaps, with each breath of relaxation, you might feel warmth beginning to spread, flowing down your arms to your fingertips, flowing down your legs to your toes. Warm extremities, relaxed body. sleep approaches. The weight of blankets can feel like a gentle embrace. This is why weighted blankets have become popular for anxiety and insomnia. The pressure activates deep touch receptors that signal safety to the nervous system. This effect is called deep pressure stimulation, and it has been studied extensively. The firm, distributed pressure of weight on the body increases serotonin and melatonin, while decreasing cortisol. The chemistry of calm is literally created by the feeling of being held. We are, at our core, creatures who need touch. Infants who are not held fail to thrive. Adults who lack physical contact show higher rates of depression and anxiety. The body is designed for connection, and the pressure of blankets can partially fulfill that need. Imagine being wrapped in a cocoon, every surface of your body gently pressed, held, contained. There is nothing to fear in the cocoon, nothing to guard against. Just the warm pressure of safety surrounding you completely. Perhaps you might notice whatever is covering you tonight. The weight of the blanket, the pressure against your skin, and perhaps you could imagine that weight as arms around you. As the embrace of sleep itself, as the physical sensation of safety, you are held, you are covered, you are safe. Gravity is always there, holding you to the earth. You don't have to grip or grasp or cling. You can release completely. And you will not fall. The earth will hold you. Gravity will keep you safe. This is such a basic fact that we usually forget it. We expend energy resisting gravity, holding ourselves up, fighting against the constant, gentle pull downward. But when we lie down, we can finally stop fighting. We can surrender to the pull. We can let gravity win. Relaxation teachers sometimes use the phrase, letting gravity have you. It means releasing the muscular effort that keeps you suspended, that holds you together, that maintains your shape against the force that wants to flatten you into the earth. Picture a raindrop finally reaching the ground after its long fall through the sky. The journey is over. The drop can spread and settle, no longer needing to hold its shape, no longer fighting the downward pull. Your body can be like that raindrop. Perhaps you might feel gravity's pull right now. Feel how it draws every part of you downward. And perhaps you could stop resisting. Let it pull you deeper into the surface beneath you. Let the earth hold you. Let gravity have you. You will not fall. The earth is already holding you. It always has been. The surface beneath you is supporting your entire weight. You don't need to hold yourself up. You don't need to contribute anything. Just surrender to the support that's already there. This support is unconditional. It doesn't require anything from you. It doesn't judge how much you weigh or how much tension you release. It simply holds, steadily and reliably, for as long as you rest upon it. Many people subtly lift themselves even when lying down, maintaining muscle tension as if they might need to spring up at any moment. But this constant readiness is exhausting. It prevents true rest. The surface will hold you whether you're ready to spring or not. Imagine floating in warm water, the buoyancy holding you up without any effort on your part. You can relax completely, and the water will still support you. The surface beneath you offers a similar support, solid instead of liquid, but equally reliable. Perhaps you might test this support right now. Release a little more weight into the surface beneath you. Feel it accept that weight without complaint. Release a little more. Feel the support rise to meet you. There is no limit to how much you can release. The support is complete. The holding is total. You can let go. Each breath is a small surrender. The inhale receives. The exhale releases. Over and over. Your body practices the art of letting go. Thousands of times each day. You've been surrendering your whole life. Every exhale has been a release. A letting go. A small death and rebirth. The breath knows the rhythm of surrender. It has been practicing for you since you took your first breath. Consider how the exhale works. The diaphragm relaxes. The lungs deflate. The air that was held is released into the world. There is no grasping, no holding on, just the natural release that follows every taking in. Picture the tide going out, the ocean releasing the shore it had embraced. The release is gentle, inevitable, part of a rhythm older than memory. Your exhale is like that tide. Perhaps you might follow your breath for a moment, feeling each exhale as a small surrender. Each release of air is practice for the larger release that is sleep. Each letting go teaches your body the shape of surrender. The breath has been practicing for you. Let it lead you now. You have survived every night of your life. Every single one. Sleep has always been safe. The morning has always come. This night will be no different. This may seem obvious, but it's worth remembering. Whatever fears arise about sleep, whatever anxieties whisper that rest is dangerous, the evidence says otherwise. You have slept thousands of nights and woken to see thousands of mornings. The body that sleeps tonight is the same body that has slept successfully all those other nights. The process is the same. The brain is the same. The biology is the same. What worked before will work again. Imagine all the mornings of your life, stretching back through the years. Each one proof that the night before was survived. That's a lot of evidence. That's a lot of mornings. That's a track record you can trust. Perhaps you might take comfort in this history. Not one night has defeated you. Not one sleep has failed to end. Every morning you've ever seen is testimony to the reliability of this process. You have survived every night. This one will be no exception. Tomorrow doesn't need you yet. Whatever waits for you in the morning, it can wait a little longer. Right now, the only thing that needs you is this moment. And this moment only needs you to rest. We often lie awake thinking about tomorrow, planning, worrying, rehearsing. The mind treats the future as if it were already happening, triggering stress responses for events that haven't occurred and may never occur. But tomorrow is not here. It doesn't exist yet. It's a story we tell ourselves, a projection, a possibility. The only thing that's real is now. And now, there is nothing you need to do except breathe and let go. Picture a friend who keeps knocking on your door, asking for your attention. You can say, "Not now. Come back later." The problems of tomorrow are like that friend. They can wait. They must wait. Now is not their time. Perhaps you might set aside tomorrow for a while. Give yourself permission to be unavailable. The worries will still be there in the morning if you want them. But right now, you're off duty. Right now, you're resting. Right now, tomorrow doesn't need you. The future can wait. The present is enough. Sleep will take care of itself. You don't need to manage it or control it or make it happen. Just create the conditions. and sleep will arrive on its own schedule, in its own way. This is perhaps the most important surrender of all, releasing the need to control the process. Sleep is not something you do. It's something that happens to you when you stop doing. The conditions for sleep are simple: a comfortable place to lie, a quiet environment, permission to rest. When these conditions are met, sleep will come. It may take time, but it will come. The biology is reliable. The process is trustworthy. Imagine planting a seed in good soil, watering it, and then waiting. You don't make the seed grow. You create the conditions, and the seed does the rest. Sleep is like that seed. Perhaps you might release any remaining effort to make sleep happen. You've created the conditions. You're lying in comfort. You're listening to words designed to soothe. Now let the seed do its work. Let the sleep grow on its own. Sleep will take care of itself. It always has. The art of surrender is the art of becoming still. Still in body. Still in mind. Still in the deep places where tension lives. When you become truly still, sleep flows in, like water filling a quiet pool. Stillness is not rigidity. It's not the frozen tension of trying not to move. It's the soft stillness of a sleeping cat, of a resting bird, of all creatures who have mastered the art of not doing. In stillness, the body's processes can run without interference. The heart beats, the lungs breathe, the blood flows, the hormones cycle. All the complex machinery of life continues. But you don't have to manage any of it. You just have to be still. Picture a pond that has become so still that it perfectly reflects the moon. Not a ripple disturbs the surface. The reflection is as clear as the original. Your mind can become like that pond. Perhaps you might become still now. Not rigid, but soft. Not frozen, but peaceful. Let the stillness spread from your body into your mind. Let every thought settle. Let every worry fade. Let the pond become smooth. In stillness, everything becomes clear. In stillness, sleep arrives. You are not your thoughts. They arise and pass like weather. You are the sky through which they move, unchanging and vast. Here before the clouds and here after they've gone. This is one of the great liberating insights of contemplative traditions. The thoughts that trouble us, the worries that keep us awake, they are not us. They are events happening in the mind. Temporary disturbances in an otherwise peaceful space. When you identify with your thoughts, you suffer with them. When you recognize them as passing phenomena, you can let them pass. The thought, "I can't sleep," is just a thought. It has no power except what you give it. Imagine standing on a mountain, watching clouds roll through the valley below. The clouds are thick and dark, but you are above them. You can see that they're temporary, that they'll pass, that the sky beyond them is clear. Your awareness is like that mountain. Perhaps you might step back from any thoughts that arise tonight. Watch them like clouds. Let them roll through. Don't argue with them or try to change them. Just notice them, and then let them go. You are not your thoughts. You are the space in which they appear. Peace is always available. It's not something you have to create or find or earn. It's the background of your being, the stillness beneath the noise, the calm that remains when all the disturbances have passed. We often think of peace as something distant, something to be achieved after all our problems are solved. But peace doesn't wait for perfect circumstances. It's here now, in this moment, accessible to anyone who stops fighting long enough to notice it. The relaxation you've been practicing tonight isn't creating peace. It's revealing peace that was always there, hidden beneath the layers of tension, obscured by the noise of the mind. Strip away the tension, quiet the noise, and peace emerges on its own. Picture an archaeologist brushing away sand to reveal an ancient treasure buried beneath. The treasure was always there. The brushing just reveals it. Your relaxation has been that brushing. Perhaps you might notice the peace that has been revealed tonight. The calm beneath the thoughts, the stillness beneath the sensations, the deep, abiding rest that was waiting for you all along. Peace is not something you find. It's something you uncover. And it's been here, waiting, your whole life. Your body is beginning to merge with sleep. The boundary between waking and dreaming is becoming soft, permeable, unclear. Thoughts are becoming images. Sensations are becoming distant. The solid world is becoming a gentle mist. This is the hypnagogic state, the threshold between waking and sleeping. It's a liminal space, a doorway, a transition zone where the rules of consciousness begin to shift. Strange thoughts may arise. Random images may appear. This is normal. This is the process working. Don't resist these changes. Don't try to make sense of what doesn't make sense. Just let the strangeness flow. Let the boundary dissolve. Let yourself slip from one state into the other. Imagine walking into a fog, the familiar world behind you gradually disappearing, the unknown world ahead slowly revealing itself. You don't know exactly when you left one and entered the other. The transition was seamless, natural, gentle. Perhaps you're in that fog now. The waking world is becoming distant. The sleeping world is becoming near. You don't have to do anything except keep walking, keep breathing, keep letting go. The boundary is dissolving. Sleep is very close now. You are ready. Your body is soft. Your mind is quiet. Your breath is slow. Every system has shifted toward rest. The long journey through facts and sensations has brought you here, to the threshold of sleep. You've learned so much tonight about how your body holds and how it releases, about the nervous system that guards you and the wisdom that knows how to let go, about the journey inward and the art of surrender. But you don't need to remember any of it. It has all soaked into your cells, become part of your body's new memory, planted seeds that will bloom in future nights of easy rest. All you need to do now is take the last step, cross the threshold, let go completely, and let sleep receive you. Imagine a door standing open, warm light spilling through, inviting you into a room where everything is peaceful. Everything is safe. Everything is exactly as it should be. You've been standing at this door, perhaps without realizing it. Now you can walk through. There is nothing more to learn, nothing more to practice, nothing more to understand. Just the gentle release of the last holding. Just the soft crossing of the final threshold. Just the warm, welcoming embrace of sleep. You are ready. Good night, gentle soul. Sleep well, and if you're still here, still listening, still floating in that gentle space between waking and sleeping, that's perfectly fine too. The night is long. The facts will continue. The words will keep coming, soft and steady, for as long as you need them. Because this isn't really about reaching the end. It's about the journey itself, the slow unwinding, the gradual release, the patient, tender process of letting your body remember what it has always known. You can drift now, in and out, hearing some words, missing others. It doesn't matter. The message is the same. Whether you hear it or not, you are safe. You are held. You can let go. And tomorrow, when you wake, you'll carry something from tonight with you. A little more softness, a little more trust, a little more knowing that your body understands the art of surrender, even when your mind forgets. So rest now. Rest completely. The world will wait. The morning will come. And sleep. Sleep is already here. Good night.